Welcome back, guys. Welcome to the Cryptic Brush. And as always, I'm Kevin, and today we are going to be painting up Imperial Fists. Now I have this little guy right here. He's from the Invictus Tactical Warsuit kit. This Primaris Marine right here. And we are going to paint him up as Imperial Fist 5th Regiment. So hopefully by the end of the time that I have with you, it's going to look something kind of like this. There we go. Boom. So let's get started. So a few of the paints that we're going to need, we're going to go with Averland base, Averland Sunset base. We're going to go with Uriel Yellow, Demonic Yellow by Army Painter, Agrax Earthshade, Abandoned Black, Plate Mill Metal, and Dorn Yellow as well. Okay. All right. Oh, and sorry, we are also going to be using, I believe, here we go. Dark Oath Flesh contrast color. I actually really like this color. It works wonders for flesh colored areas. It really settles really nicely, and I think is just definitely one of the better ones that they have. So okay, so what we're gonna do now is make sure you get your water all set up and get yourself a good base brush, and we'll go. So I'm gonna use this one. All right, so first off, we're gonna start off with the Averland Sunset base color. All right, I'm going to try to move the camera around here a little bit better so we can get a better view of what I'm going to be doing. All right, let's give a good little shake. Get some paint out. Now, for my palette, I'm actually using a giant ceramic tile that I got from like Home Depot for, I don't know, 50 cents, 75 cents, something like that. So you can just usually clean it off with either Windex or LA Totally Awesome, and it works really well. So I'm going to try to keep this in frame here. There we go. I'm just going to start going over the entire model with this Averland Sunset. I was going to show you how to do this with an airbrush, but my airbrush decided to take a crap on me. So I was unable to get it working due to, I think it was just really clogged for whatever reason. Even though I cleaned it out, it just was not wanting to cooperate with me. So I got to do it the old-fashioned way, which is fine because this is actually how I did the other one. And then I guess that means you guys get to hear me ramble on a little bit longer. Yay. All right, I'm gonna focus on the back here, but not by too much because he is going to be sitting in a cockpit and he won't be seeing this area. But being a little bit of a, I don't want to say perfectionist, but definitely wanting to make sure I get everything handled, I like to make sure I kind of cover all my bases. And it looks like this guy is wearing the Phobos armor, which is really cool. I actually really like it. I believe it's the Mark 10. If I'm wrong, feel free to give me correct me in the comments below. But I really like the way they look. I think they look really cool. Go. He's getting there. All right, I'm going to try to make sure I don't get any paint on his head. Oh, by the way, this was primed with Wraithbone Contrast primer. So it's got that nice warm, almost like khaki bone color. It really comes off and looks really nice on here. It gives a nice warm appearance to this yellow after it dries. There we go. Okay. Now this isn't going to be like super high standard or anything like that, but I am looking for tabletop, if not a little bit better than tabletop. So we're going to get this guy all dried up, and we'll move on to the washes, I believe, next, once this guy is all set. Now, for this next one, this one's actually going to be a little bit of a tedious area. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, just kind of drench this whole thing in Agrax Earthshade, and that'll get you all your shadows and everything. But it's really going to darken up all of the yellow that you have, and it's going to make it very much a very dirty mustard brown almost. I particularly don't care for that. I like to have my Marines a little bit lighter and a little bit more, whether it's like a brighter yellow or an orangey yellow, almost kind of like this color, Phoenix Flames. Let's see, get that in there. There we go. This is kind of the color that I'm looking for. Get this guy away. There we go. All right, let's get this guy. I'm going to come back when he is completely dry. All right, now that we're back, we are going to do a little dry brush on this guy for just kind of bring out a little bit of the details real quick. I'm going to be using Imperial Yellow. Now, if you're unsure how to do dry brushing, it's very simple. All you gotta do is you just get a little bit of paint onto your brush. I'm gonna actually use a piece of paper, and you're gonna wipe off most of your paint. So it looks almost something like this, right? You don't want a whole lot of paint on there. You actually want less is more when it comes to this. And then I'm just gonna start going over all of the raised higher edges. And I don't know if you can see yet, but you can see just a little bit of a difference between the dark color and Ordia with the light color. This is actually just helping with the shadows, bringing out some of the color. Like this. Now, when you're going with the dry brush, you don't have to be essentially dragging the brush across the model very hard. It's actually, you just go nice and light, and the model will actually pick up pretty much the perfect amount of paint that is required. Again, I'm not really paying too much of attention on the back here because, again, he's going to be sitting in a seat. All right, now I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with Demonic Yellow. So I'm going to get a little bit of the paper. And this is just a little bit lighter yellow, so it's not going to be a super big change, but I'm not going to go over as much of the model as before. Here's a little pro tip. You can also do it on your thumb too. It helps drag out some of that paint. There we go. You just kind of want to just catch the edges of the model as you're coming through. There we go. All right, he's already starting to pop a little bit, so that's good. All right, so the next step that we're going to do, this one's going to require a little bit of a steady hand. And this one is going to be the lining of the model, and we're going to use Agrax Earthshade for this. So you want to make sure you have a very nice and sharp point brush. I like to go with like a brand new brush for this type of work, and I only use this brush. This is an important part. If you have a dedicated line brush essentially like this, only use it for these kind of things, and you'll keep your tip essentially nice and sharp for a lot longer. So I'm just going to get a little bit of paint. Oh, I'm sorry, a little bit of wash. And I'm going to start just lining in the detail, all the little cracks and crevices are. And it doesn't take much. I don't know if you can already pick it up, but you can see exactly right where I did it, right there. And a lot of times, because of the way the model is, especially with these Primaris Marines, all you gotta do is almost like touch the edge and the paint will just automatically go right into where you need it to go. I think it's called like the capillary effect, if I'm not mistaken. It just goes right inside. Now again, we are not looking to cover the whole model. All right, we only want to do just a little bit, just the areas that would have shadows, natural shadows. I'm actually going to zoom in here for you guys. Oh, that's not zooming in. There we go. Okay, I'm going to try to keep my hand right here so that way I don't move it out of the screen. So you can literally see how I'm doing this. In real time. It's so weird because I have my camera and my microphone all right here to my left, and so I'm not really in a position where I normally am sitting, so I'm having to focus on exactly where my hands are so it will remain in view. There we go. Can I get this area real quick? Sorry, I'm trying to keep it in view there. There we go. Now this is actually a pretty easy model when it comes to this because there's not a huge amount. I'm not really worried about, at least on this particular model, I'm not worried about getting it on these straps because these straps are going to be painted a different color. Right? So it's okay to get your wash over areas that you're already going to be painting over, so it's no harm, no foul. There we go. Let me get this hand real quick. Now again, you can see that I'm not, oh sorry, I'm not trying to drench the whole model. I'm just getting just a couple little areas here and there, right? Just so you can pick out the details like the fingers with the wash. And this is what this wash really does really well. Now, I can go over his abs area with this, just kind of help give it some definition, though it's going to get colored in later on. But at least I can see it, there we go, to how it's going to look. Now, if you notice that little spot right there, okay, I was not wanting that to go there, so I'm going to go back over it with just a touch of Averland Sunset. And we're just going to clean that up. I'm actually going to clean this kneecap and this kneecap up with it. There we go. I'm just going to touch up a couple little areas. Happy little mistakes. Or what was Bob Ross used to say, happy little accidents. I don't know how many of you guys used to watch Bob Ross growing up, but I always did. All right, so now while we're waiting for this to dry, for the armor to dry, let's move on over to the skin. Okay. I have the contrast Dark Oath contrast. I'm just getting a little bit. Now, I know with contrast paints, they say, you know, one thick, you know, layer is all you need. I actually really like to do just really thin layers and really control exactly where this contrast medium will go. Then you have a lot more control. Remember, you can always do more layers. Once you have a huge glop on, it's a lot harder to take off. And especially with this, it's almost like less is more. You don't need a whole lot, especially with this flesh color one. It works so well. And the cool part about it is if you want the skin darker than what it is when it dries, just do another thin coat over it and it'll slightly darken it up. Looks really good. Okay, there we go. I don't know if you can see that in the light there. I'm gonna try to get that little cheek area right there because I can see it on the camera. It's not really picking it up. There we go. All right. Okay. Now that the other wash is done, let's move on to the black. Let me bring this back out. There we go. All right. So I got some Abaddon black here. And I'm going to just kind of take my time going around the model, filling in all the areas that are going to be black. Again, I almost use my thumb as a miniature, what was those? Not easels, but the palettes. And the important thing to remember is when you're painting miniatures, at least for myself, how I look at it is I'm not in a rush. You know, we pay, us in this hobby, we pay good money for these models. And I mean, I know with like contrast paints and stuff like that, they're like, oh, you know, you can get your army painted super quick and get it on the table and all this stuff. But I mean, if you're a painter, it's almost like you're cheating yourself out of the fun of painting, if that's what you're into. You know, it's like, well, the sooner you get done painting your model, the sooner you don't have any more models to paint. So if you really take your time and just kind of invest a little extra time in each model, you're really going to get your money's worth. I mean, you're already going to get your money's worth when you're playing the games and stuff like that, but why not also stretch it out to your hobby as well? You know, I mean, if we're paying $50, $60 for a pack of like 10 Space Marines, and you spend all of a day just throwing some paint on them real quick, and they just end up looking, I hate to say it, like subpar. It's like, did you really, you know, far be it for me to tell what, you know, people should or should not spend their money on, but it's like, was that really a good investment on your part for that? But that's, again, that's just my point of view, my opinion. If you guys disagree, let me know in the comments. Or if you agree. Okay, here we go. Get the only thing I won't be covering in this episode for today is the decals, because I have to wait until payday. I'm going to be picking up some micro sew and micro set for the decals, so that way I can show you guys how that works and how to get the most out of the decals. Because especially with these guys, I don't want to be hand painting the Fists chapter symbol on these guys, because I mean, I can do freehand when I'm in the mood, but that's just that's a lot. I'm just painting some black over his hair. There we go. Okay, now let's get the little control pads that he has right here on his by his hand. I've noticed if you dilute your chaos black just a little bit too much, it almost acts as a wash. Like you'll really see all of the color underneath that you're trying to paint will start showing through. So it's almost like you have to kind of use it straight out of the pot to really kind of get the coverage that you need, but not too much that you're gonna obscure the details. There we go. Okay. So I was also going to talk to you guys about getting the supplement for the Imperial Fists and going over the stats and all that stuff. If that's something that you guys want to see, you know, just let me know. On the other side too, I was able to, secure one of the orders through my local game store for the Sisters of Battle box set, the limited edition one that GW is sold out of like very quickly, which no surprise there. And so when that comes out, I will be doing an unboxing and also be doing a read through of the codex for y'all, and we'll go over and I'll give you my thoughts on units that we can definitely do really well, or hopefully they got some good changes and made our sisters worth playing, which I'm pretty sure they have, because I mean we've been waiting for a new Sisters Codex for a long time. Not just the Codex, but just models all together have been sorely lacking and wanted. Okay, there we go. Oh, I forgot one little part. Got to get his abs. 7-minute abs. Or was that an Old Spice commercial? Abdominals. Terry Crews. That was always a good one. Alright, there we go. He's coming along now. Okay. I'm going to put the black away. Gonna clean up my desk here for real quick. All right, so next up, we're going to do some line details. And we're going to use Dorn Yellow. All right, so with this paint, I mean, it's a layer paint, so you can use, you can treat it just like all the other paints. Just slightly water it down. But with this paint, you really want to be careful with it because it's a very thin paint. Like, you water it down a little bit and it's going to run all over. Sorry, it's annoying. I'm actually going to move my light here. All right, so as I was saying, it's a very thin paint. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of it and we're going to start going over the edges where there's a highlight. That's going to be areas like the top of the boot. The smaller the line, the better it's going to look. You don't want like a really thick highlight because then it ends up just kind of looking a little cartoony. And also has to kind of deal with your brush too. If you're able to get a nice sharp brush, you can do a really good looking line. And if you can really see, kind of starting to see those little highlights pop. Just kind of catching just the top areas. Now, when it comes to the sides right here, I like to use the edge of my brush. So not the tip, but the edge. So when you're bringing it over, you just let the edge kind of hug. You'll get a nice thin line for your highlight. There we go. And you just catch the edges like that. It really just depends on how sturdy your hand is. And if you can do like freehand detail pretty well, then you can pretty much get this, like, you just draw it. There we go. And I'm going to catch the areas right here. And then for the final part, just catch the top of the brim. There we go. In front and back. There we go. All right, so got that done. Now let's get some metallic in here. So I'm going to use Army Painter Plate Mail Metal. This is actually a pretty good color. It's kind of like Lead Belcher from Citadel. It's kind of along the same lines. It works just as well. So again, I'm going to get a little bit of water in there. Keep my brush nice and pointed. All right, we're gonna just paint in the center of the seatbelt, I guess, for lack of better description. I'll get the bionics that he's kind of got hooked into his head. Now I painted it black first, so that way if there's any cracks or crevices, it's already got a nice shadow. We'll get the metal up here as well. Okay. We'll get the edges of the controller. Doesn't take much. There we go. And then here is a tricky part. Now, I was going to do this in black, but I figure since I have the metallic, I can just pull it off with this. So I'm going to use a very sharp brush and very fine control. I'm going to put it right inside the crook of his arm, where he's got the undersuit in there. There we go. Try not to get it over anything else. There we go. Cool. All right, so let's work on the face a little bit. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of contrast gray Griff Charger gray, sorry. And what we're going to do is I'm going to wash up my brush, take a little bit of this contrast over here, put a little bit of water into it, or you can use the contrast medium thinner. And here's a cool little trick that I learned. Sorry, let me zoom in here on the head. All right, so when you're working on this, you're going to want to lightly just start tinting the side of the flesh here. Try not, here's the important part. Try not to get it to pool anywhere. Like, you actually do not want to let it pool. All you're doing on this is letting it taint the skin of the model. And the reason why you're doing this is when it's finished, it's going to give that look of almost like a 5 o'clock shadow. There we go. All right, it's good enough for government work. Okay, there we go. All right, so from here, I mean, this is pretty much good for like tabletop quality. I mean, if you're going right onto the table and stuff, this would work really well. One of the things you can do is also take some Nuln oil, and we're just going to kick down that metallic color and give it a little bit of a black wash. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Nuln oil and we're just going to hit that area. Make sure it's dry before you do that. And it's just going to kind of kick that shine down and bring it a little bit more of a worn metal look for it. There we go. Works really well for the for the cracks and crevices of the arm panels right here, because then you got the metal that's protruding out, and then the black goes into the cracks and crevices and shades it really well. Alright guys, so we're going to cut it here, but this is what it looks like for Imperial Fists. Alright guys, cool. So that was the tutorial on how to paint Imperial Fists. So I really appreciate you guys sticking around and watching and seeing how everything was going. If you guys got any comments, or if you guys got any requests that you want to see done, just let me know. Also, if you can, take a little bit of time out and go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel for more stuff. I was actually trying to get them out like maybe once every weekend, but again with work and everything like that, I'm gonna try to shoot for like one video every 2 weeks until I can get a little bit of a stable filming schedule and projects and all that stuff. So alright guys, stick around next time, and we'll see you more. See ya.